This episode of Own the Grey is brought to you by I Am. Discover your unique talents, realize your potential, and align to your path. Take the first step to uncover your life purpose by visiting debrajones.ca/courses. So what is a podcast? Well, simply put, a podcast is a free audio show, just like talk radio, but you subscribe to it on your smartphone and listen to it whenever you like. In a little more detail, a podcast is a series of the spoken word. Audio episodes focused on a particular topic or theme like wellness or comedy. You can subscribe to the show with an app on your phone and listen to episodes whenever you like on your headphones, in the car, or through speakers. The majority of shows tend to have entirely original content, brilliantly original approaches, and completely niche subjects. For example, they can be any length from a minute to 3 hours. They can be any frequency from daily to monthly. They can be any format from simple solo shows up to mammoth multi-person audio dramas. And they can cover any topic, many of which would never make it onto radio. No matter what you're into, you'll find a show that suits the topics you love and the time you have. So how do you listen? Well, most podcasts today are audio only, even though video podcasts do exist. Podcasting has really grown out of a need for background content. That means something that can entertain you or educate you or inspire you in the background of other boring or rote activities. For example, one of the most common ways people listen is in the car. You can't watch video there, of course, so audio content is perfect. That means, in the same way, podcasts are great for listening at the gym, while you're mowing the lawn, in a waiting room, or on your journey to work. Any moment of wasted time can be a moment for audio. So, of course, that means that you need something to listen on, so you might need to get yourself a set of headphones to connect to your smartphone. Otherwise, connect up to your car via Bluetooth or start listening on Echo or another smart speaker. You can also listen while sitting at your computer. What do podcasts sound like? Well, when you listen to a podcast, you'll discover that many of them are quite familiar. You'll have heard similar types of content over the years, from the radio to a TV talk show. And on the other hand, you'll also listen to podcasts that are completely new and entirely different from the norm, thanks to the freedom that podcasting allows. Most podcasts will be themed around one particular topic. The host or hosts will talk about that topic on every episode. Sometimes it's really specific, like aging or dog training, and other times it's more general, like how to lead a happy life. Next, each episode of that podcast will talk about something specific within that topic. Nutrition tips for retirees, or how to stop your dog from fighting with other dogs. Typically, each episode is run by one or two regular presenters talking about that subject. They'll often get outside guests to contribute or to be interviewed. Well, many podcasts are straightforward, just a few friends chatting about something that they're really passionate about, like movies, knitting, or running a business. But some are really polished and super professional, including theme music, sound effects, professional editing, and more. Well, most people listen to a bit of both types. But the most significant factor in most podcasts is the host or hosts, and you'll gravitate towards topics and hosts that you like more than the approach that they take. So what's the difference between a podcast and a podcast episode? Well, the terminology is confusing, but a podcast is a series of episodes that refers to the show as a whole. Then a podcast episode is just one recording from that entire podcast. So it's like TV, really. A TV show is made up of a whole series of episodes. So think of Friends as the series and the one where they got married as the episode. In this case, Friends is the equivalent of a podcast, and the one where they got married is the podcast episode. So you might be wondering, can you listen without subscribing? Well, the short answer is yes. And you can listen to an audio file on my podcast website at ownthegray.ca. But when you listen to an audio file, you're downloading just that episode. But if you choose to subscribe, you'll automatically get notified of new episodes from that podcast when they become available. So when you use iTunes, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify, or any other podcast listening app, it'll keep track of all of your subscriptions. It'll automatically download new episodes as they're available. So it's much easier than accessing audio files where you'd have to search for them on the web and download them yourself. Some people open up their podcast listening app and scroll through what's trending. Now, others want to hear their preferred podcasts right away. If you like what you hear in a podcast, subscribe to it. You can always unsubscribe if it doesn't live up to your expectations. So now that you know what a podcast is, be the first to listen to my new podcast, Own the Gray, at ownthegray.ca. Thanks for listening. Till next time. This episode of Own the Gray is brought to you by I Am. Discover your unique talents, realize your potential, and align to your path. Take the first step to uncover your life purpose by visiting debrajones.ca/courses.